Hi guys, and welcome to part 4, the final part of our birth series with Grayson, the Q&A. So you guys gave me your questions and I'm going to try and answer as much of them as I can, so I'm gonna just get started so that this isn't too long. So the first question I got was, what was I listening to in the birth video? I was listening to Hypno Babies. I practiced Hypno Babies throughout my whole pregnancy, and so I used that for Grayson's birth. My instincts actually totally overrode the actual hypnobirthing, and so hypnobirthing was sort of ended up being kind of useless for me. But I played it in the background because it was just a familiar comfort of relaxation for me, even though I didn't actually actively use my hypnosis. Specifically, what soundtrack I was listening to, or what track I was listening to during birth. On the way to the birth center, I was listening to the birth guide, Easy First Stage, and I think once I got there, I might have played it. I think I played my birthing day affirmations once I got to the birth center, and I'm pretty sure I asked Cody to put it on Comfortable Childbirth, and then it just kind of played whatever tracks were after, because they're all on my phone on like my music area, so whatever was like after that was playing. But so I listened to the Easy First Stage on the way to the birth center, and then once I got there, Comfortable Childbirth, and then I just kind of let it play because I didn't really care. I was just listening to it. So next question, can you explain Cody's feelings while you were in labor? Was he proud, or did he wish he could take the pain away or something like that? So I talked to Cody about this, and what he told me was that he was kind of just like a rock during my labor. He's not emotionless, but he was very just strong and grounded through it, because for him, he wanted to make sure that he kept his own emotions in check, and he was not really he didn't really have time to worry about what he was feeling. He was just focused on helping me, doing what I needed, keeping an extra eye out on Mackenzie, doing whatever he could to make me more comfortable, or just be there to support me. And for him, any other time that I was in labor and he had a free second, he was just making sure that he kept himself as available as possible to what I needed in birth. And so for him, it wasn't really, it wasn't a scary experience or something that was overly emotional or overly worrisome for me or for him, because he knows me well enough to know that even though I was in labor, that I wasn't in pain, and that even though he knew it was uncomfortable, he knew that it needed to happen to meet our son, and he knows me well enough to know I can handle my own, and that even though I can have all the support and love and help around me, when it comes down to it, it's me and myself who need to get through it. And so he was just focused on being as supportive as he could, and listening to my needs with whatever I needed, and then just kind of being there for the other time. I got a lot of questions about Mackenzie, and so you guys wanted to know, was Mackenzie there for the birth? Mackenzie was there for the whole birth. We packed her up with us, and we took her with us as soon as my water broke, and we had bags packed in the truck for with snacks and toys and stuff for her to play with. And we also brought Cody's sister and his mom with us to help not only be there for the birth, but also just to be extra sets of eyes to play with Mackenzie, and so that we had somebody to focus more on Mackenzie to just play with her and feed her and just kind of hang out with her, because we didn't know how long I was going to be in labor. So you guys wanted to know how Mackenzie did, and did she cry, or was she upset or anything, because somebody mentioned that they heard her come in and ask me if I was okay. Actually, what she said when she had come in was, you're doing okay. She wasn't like, is mommy okay? She was like, you're okay, mom. And so she kept coming in several times saying, you're okay, you're doing so good, because anytime a couple times she'd hear me get a little bit loud, and she'd come in, you're okay, mom. And so she was actually totally fine. There was not an ounce of fear, and that's another reason that Cody was keeping an eye out for her to recognize any emotions that we might need to remove her from the situation, and that's why we also had 2 people there for her supporting her. But she was not scared at all. We actually prepared Mackenzie really well for his birth, and it was completely her choice whether or not she wanted to be there the entire time. She was able to back out and pull out whenever she wanted to, even during labor and birth. We prepared her by, she's been watching home birth videos and watching babies be born and stuff like that since she was like 2 years old. So we educated her really well. She knew everything that was going on. She knew as much as a 3-year-old can know. She's quite smart, so she was able to understand a lot of it. But I educated her on things like how the baby came out, and she knew like things like the placenta, and she knows what a cervix is. And so even though the conversation that was going on may seem more adult, she knew exactly what was happening, because for us it's just natural, it's just biology. It's very healthy and good for her to learn it and to see it, so that she's comfortable with those kind of things growing up. And so Mackenzie was totally fine during the birth. She actually blew our minds and was a total rock star. She came in and she was rubbing my hands, and she was rubbing my back before I got in the tub and telling me, "You're doing so good, we're gonna meet baby Grayson today, Mom. It's so exciting, you're doing so good, you've got this." And she was just super encouraging. She was like my biggest cheerleader in there, like vocally, and it was just really cute and really awesome. And she played for most of the time in the other room, and she'd come in once in a while. And then when I moved to the bed right before he was born, because if you watch the video, I got out of the tub like minutes before he was born, and so Cody's mom just held her up so she could see, because she wanted to see, and stood right behind the midwives at the end of the bed, and she watched everything, and she was fascinated through the whole process, asking the midwives questions and like watching after, and just listening very intently to the whole process. And even asking her after, I asked her if she was scared at any time. She said nope, she wasn't scared, and she was really happy, and she told me all her favorite parts of the birth and everything. So I did get a few questions of if I home birthed, and if you watched the other 2 videos, we did not have a home birth. Home birth was never actually our plan, and I explain what I mean by that, and any confusion that goes with that in the very beginning of the intro of Grayson's birth footage. And so we had Grayson in the birth center, and our birth center is the only free standing birth center in Canada, meaning it's not attached to any medical facility, so it's not run by nurses or anything like that. It's literally a converted house that is turned into a birth center, and it's just really cozy. It's like, it literally looks like a little house, except for the midwives have all their equipment there, and we're about 10 minutes away from the hospital there. So it's a really beautiful experience, and it's just like a home birth, except for you're not at home. So there's no, I know some birth centers are really like medical still, and they still feel really hospital-y, so this one felt like as homey as you can get. Somebody wanted to know, how was the drive home so soon after birth, and how long did I stay at the birth center for? So Grayson was born at 8:35, and we left the birth center at about 10:40. I felt really awesome after, and I was up and walking around within about an hour after he was born. I was just getting stuff ready and, you know, getting him dressed and just puttering around because I felt great. I was taking it easy though, but we just decided to leave when we felt comfortable. And so at the same time, we wanted to leave when I was comfortable, and Peter's so happened to be closing at 11, so we're like, hey, let's just go grab a milkshake before we go home. And so we left at 10:40, and the drive after was totally fine. I was taking it really easy on the stairs and stuff, and Cody and my midwife helped me into the truck just to be cautious, and you know, I just had a baby, so I do obviously need to take it easy. But the drive was fine. I kind of wished I had a pillow to sit on to make it more comfortable, but it wasn't necessarily uncomfortable, and it was totally fine. It didn't take us too long to get home, and so by the time we like grabbed our milkshakes and got home, we were home well before midnight. Yeah, so it really wasn't a big deal to drive home after. Next question is Mackenzie nursing nursing again now that he is born? If you've been following us for a little while, then you know that I breastfed Mackenzie right up until I was about I want to say like maybe 16 weeks pregnant, and then we just kind of decided to mutually wean. I really was not having the whole nursing pregnant did not feel awesome for me, and she was to an age where it wasn't, we felt health-wise it was okay for us to mutually wean at that point. And so I had left the option open that when Grayson was born, if she wanted, she could maybe nurse again if it was good for both of us and if she wanted to. And so we talked about it, and her plan was the whole time to nurse once Grayson was born. She was really excited for it. She was excited for me to get my milk back, and because we full-term breastfeed. And so once he was born, though, I didn't plan to let her nurse if she was going to for a while. Like, I didn't plan to even let her try until like well after the first month, just because I really wanted to make sure that my milk supply was established to Grayson's needs and you know, his demand. And so I didn't want to. I know I have like oversupply as well after my babies, and I had it with him too, and so I didn't want to mess with engorgement. I didn't want to get engorged. I didn't want to mess with my supply and make my oversupply worse or anything by having a toddler nurse on top of it. So we just kind of left it alone, and I've just been kind of like keeping an eye out on things and like gauging her reaction to it and seeing if she asks any questions or anything. And she really hasn't asked to nurse. A few times in the first week I expressed milk just to help my engorgement a little bit, to adjust my body, and she drank the milk from the cup with great excitement. And she says, she's made comments like, ooh, like, oh, baby Grayson's nursing, I love nursing and stuff. So she talks about it, and she talks about how she loves my milk and stuff, but she really hasn't asked straight up, like, Mom, I want to nurse again. And so I think if I offered it, she would totally be gung-ho and she would go for it. But honestly, I don't know if I'm comfortable with it anymore. Not because of her age or anything, but toddler nursing and newborn nursing are a lot different, and it's a lot, I'm kind of, I get touched out easy with toddler nursing, and I get overstimulated really easy in general. And so I think the stimulation for me would just be too much with 2 kids, and newborn nursing is a really huge relief from toddler nursing, and just it's just very different. It's a totally different experience, and so honestly I don't know if I'm going to let her nurse again. I just kind of feel like we've had this long break, and I don't want to mess with Grayson's food source, and I don't want to make my oversupply worse or create problems that wouldn't be there if she wasn't nursing. So right now we're just not nursing, and I think we're just going to kind of see how that goes and just bond other ways, and I'm totally okay with her expressing in a cup and giving her breast milk still, and we'll probably do it that way. So I got a lot of questions about asking about how I was right after the birth. Did I tear, or like, and like how was that aspect? Was it a mark-free birth or what? So I did tear quite a bit with Grayson, because if you watch the video, then I think I explained there, or I explained in part 3, how he came out LOT, and so he was facing my right side, and so the largest part of his head came through. So if you can see him right here, from this side right here of his head to his forehead, so this huge spot came out at once because he was facing the wrong way, rather than just this part coming out first, the smallest part, and then gently emerging the rest of his head. He just kind of was like the largest part of his head possible that could come through my birth canal came through, and I pushed him out all at once because I didn't really have any other choice with working with my body. And so I got a 2nd-degree tear on my perineum, and I also got a gash, kind of. And so I'm going to talk about my vagina for a second, so you have kids around, you don't want to hear him, get him out. No. So on the side of my vagina, basically what happened, like, my perineum is down here, and I had a 2nd-degree tear down there, and then as your perineum kind of branches out into your vagina, right on the side is where mine just kind of like split with his head. It sounds really awful. It wasn't that bad. I felt it happen, but it was weird because I didn't really feel it happen where it happened. It was just like a really quick flash of heat across my face, and like I knew I tore, but that was it. It was like a really fast blast of heat across my face, like a second long, and then it was just gone, and that was that. I got asked if I got stitches or if I could get stitches because I wasn't in the hospital. Midwives are fully equipped to deal with everything baby. That is their job, that is their training, and they're actually more educated and equipped to deal with babies and birth, in my opinion, most of the time than doctors are, because doctors are more like surgery and procedure, whereas midwives are like birth. And so no, they can totally stitch you right up and everything, and I did get a couple of stitches. We weren't going to, but it was kind of just precautionary to just help things kind of go together. So I got a couple of like very loose stitches, just a couple, just to kind of aid the healing a little bit at first. I ended up losing a stitch or two like right after, like a day or two after birth, and so I just had a lot of sitz baths and Epsom salt baths, and I'm healing up totally fine. Everything's going back to normal, and no, I'm healing completely fine, and there was not a lot of pain after. That's another question I got asked, was how sore was I after birth, and I wasn't really very sore at all. I mean, you expect to be tender, and I was, but besides that, I was totally fine, and I'm 2.5 weeks postpartum now, and there's really no soreness or tenderness left. I'm obviously not ready to go run a marathon or to get back to regular activities, but no, besides that, I'm not sore to walk around or go upstairs or sit down or anything like that. I had a lot of questions about what I did with my placenta. I had talked about encapsulating it and then maybe making smoothies out of it. And right now, my placenta is actually sitting in my freezer because we brought it home and we threw it right in the freezer because I told Cody that I kind of wanted to wait for the first couple of days to see how I felt, to see if I needed it. With your placenta, it can really increase your milk supply, and sometimes it can have the opposite effect of stopping the baby blues. Some women experience that it gives them the baby blues, and for me, like with Mackenzie, I had an insane baby high. I was on baby high for the first year of her life. Like, it literally didn't go away after the first month or anything. Like, it was like an entire year I was on this crazy baby high. And so I just told Cody, hey, I just want to kind of keep it in the freezer for the first couple days and see what I want. And if I want to do smoothies, I will do smoothies. So I plan to do the smoothies if I wanted to do my placenta, or to do it. And so I felt great after birth. I was just, again, with Mackenzie, insane baby high, and it's still going very strong. And so I assume it's going to be another long one like Mackenzie, which is great. And I just really didn't feel like I need it, and I'm 2.5 weeks postpartum, and I still don't feel like I need my placenta. I don't want to mess with my milk supply. I already have a very hefty milk supply. I don't want to increase it. I think that would lead me to having problems like clogged ducts and maybe mastitis, and I just don't want to set myself up for that. And my energy level is really good. Grayson sleeps really good, so I'm getting a very good amount of sleep. I'm not feeling tired, I'm not feeling down, I'm not feeling too sore, and my body's healing really well. So my thoughts kind of don't fix what's not broken, and I just don't really feel like I need it. And so I don't see the point in taking it if I don't need it. And so right now it's just chilling out in the freezer. A couple of you wanted to know if we did delayed cord clamping. We did. If you look on the photo part on my blog of the birth story, you can actually see his cord still attached in the picture of his first latch. We did delayed cord clamping, so we waited till it was completely finished pulsating, and then Mackenzie and Cody cut the cord together. Some of you want to know how my after baby contractions were and if they were stronger than with Mackenzie. I did not get contractions after birth with Mackenzie. Not one. I did not get one after birth pain at all. I did notice a little bit this time though. Every time I nursed mostly was when it happened, and it was just sort of uncomfortable, but it wasn't, I don't know, I kind of have a high pain tolerance, and so I don't consider things painful like that. I think it's more my attitude than my actual pain tolerance, but it was slightly uncomfortable, but I noticed like just massaging my uterus whenever I got them, and maybe like switching the position of legs, or like moving my hips a little bit, like switching up my position of my butt really kind of helped them chill out, and just massaging my uterus every time I had them, and then they were gone after about day 2, I would say, or day 3. They were completely gone probably. A few of you wanted to know how the births were different and how my birth went with Mackenzie. With Mackenzie, I had a hospital birth. I had an epidural. It did fail in the sense where it didn't cover up my contractions. I ended up getting a unnecessary and episiotomy that I did not consent to, and so I ended up having a 30-stitch episiotomy, and it was just it was the hospital experience. As far as hospital experiences go, it was really awesome. For me, it was just, as soon as I pushed out Mackenzie and I had her, I knew immediately that I did not want to be in the hospital and I was in the wrong place for me. But I didn't know until I had her and everything changed, and when you know better, you do better. So the births were very different in that sense. This time, and I'll kind of answer, I also got asked if I was more relaxed and more prepared this time, and so I was not necessarily more prepared. I think I was very prepared the first time as well, but I was more relaxed this time. I knew what to expect, but I trusted my body more this time, and I was confident in my trust for my body this time, which made a huge difference. Was the confidence for my trust and being able to feel like I could speak my mind and be firm in what I wanted, and just that empowerment within myself made a huge difference in the births. I didn't need to really voice any concerns or like put my foot down with anything, because my midwives were awesome and I had great labor support. And also the support system I had was different. So last time I only had Cody and I had his mom with me, but this time I got myself a doula. I surrounded myself with people that were okay with the birth I wanted and supportive of the birth and the type of natural birth and natural experience that I wanted. And obviously Cody was much different this time because he's been a dad for 3.5 years already, and so it was like night and day difference with Cody, and he was an amazing support. But the births were different obviously because I had a natural birth this time and I did not have a natural birth last time, and this one was just, if you've never, I recommend everybody have a natural birth. Like, even if you're not into natural stuff, I don't care where you are, have a natural birth, because just the experience of birthing your own child, like, it strengthens your marriage like you've never even known. It's so weird how you didn't know that an area could be strengthened, and then all of a sudden you have a natural birth and it's like, whoa, like, I'm so much more connected to my husband and myself, and like, oh my goodness, it's just the rush of endorphins after and stuff. You think, like, I know people think that, oh, natural birth, it's gonna hurt so bad. It really doesn't. It's not really like painful. It's just like, yeah, it's intense, but it's amazing, and it's like the most insane high. So do a natural birth. But no, the labors were different in that sense, where with Mackenzie, they were both pretty calm and casual, but I was much more relaxed this time. I was happy, I felt in control, and I just was able to go with the flow, and I trusted everybody around me, and I trusted that everybody around me had the best interest for me and for Grayson. And yeah, it was just a really amazing experience. Somebody noticed that I was using essential oils during my labor, and they wanted to know what essential oils I used. What I had put on the cloth in the labor video, that was just a peppermint mix essential oil. With Mackenzie, I got sick at transition, and this time my labor is so quick that my transition, I just got slightly nauseous, and so peppermint oil just helps with the nausea. And I had brought other essential oils like lavender and stuff to put in my diffuser, but I didn't have time to use any of them. So I had just used some peppermint essential oil on a cloth to inhale to get rid of the nausea. So again, I kind of answered this in the placenta question, but somebody asked me if I am experiencing baby blues, and if I did with Mackenzie. I am not experiencing any baby blues. I'm obviously, like, you have your rush of hormones and you're a little more emotional after, and I am, but my emotions are not like sad emotions. They're all like Cody finds me like just sitting there like crying, and he's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "I'm just so happy." And it's like, yeah, so no, I don't have baby blues. I'm like crazy high, like, yay, let's rock the world. Like, I'm just super excited and I'm super happy all the time, so yeah. Somebody asked me if I would do anything different next time than I did with Grayson. Well, we're not really, it's not really the plan to have a next time, so we're not sure if that will happen. But, no, if, hypothetically, I don't think I would do anything different. I think I did exactly what I wanted to do, and maybe next time, I guess the only thing different I could think about was maybe I'd try and stay in the water different. Maybe I don't know, maybe I'd fill the tub more and see if I could get comfy a little more in the water, or, and if I didn't want to be in the water, I would make sure I grabbed that oil, because I really wanted oil for my perineum and stuff when I was birthing him, but there was just no time. He came out really quick once I was on the bed. And so I just kind of wished I could, like, I feel like that might have helped the whole tearing thing a little bit if I could kind of have gotten some lubricant there. But besides that, I really did exactly what I wanted to do and what felt best for my body, and so I don't think I would do anything different. I got asked if I was comfortable with water birth a few times, and a few people wanted to know why the midwives didn't just add cold water when I was too hot. Even though I was too hot in the bathtub and that's why I got out, the bath wasn't that hot. The bath was warm, obviously needed to be hot, but the reason they kept adding warm and like hot water was because they needed to keep the temperature the same for Grayson when he came out, so that he wasn't too cold and it wasn't too much of a shock for him. When you're in labor, it's like you get really, really hot regardless because you're doing a lot of work. I didn't really expect to get that hot in the tub, but it was kind of like doing a workout in a sauna, is how I felt. And for me, it was just too much. I just couldn't stay in the water. And yeah, that's the reason they kept adding water, was because they were trying to fill the tub more, because it looked like I was going to birth him right there. And if his head wouldn't have been in that position, he would have been born in the first like 2 pushes. But no, they kept filling the tub to just rise the water so that I wouldn't have a problem keeping my hips under the water once his head was born. And the reason they just kept adding hot was just to keep the temperature good for him once he was born, and to keep baby warm. And it just happened to be a little too much for me, and so I just got out. Somebody wanted to know if breastfeeding is easier the second time, and if I'm using. Another question I got with breastfeeding is if I'm using any creams or ointments or anything to relieve the pain from breastfeeding or a birth or anything like that. So I'll answer this one first. I'm not using anything for anything. I'm using the warm water, the peri bottle, and that's it. I've not felt that I needed anything for afterbirth, and my nipples were actually totally fine this time. I cracked and got blisters with Mackenzie, but I think that was just like her latch, and just she has like a 3rd degree upper lip tie, and so I think that kind of had to do with it. But since my nipples were used to that, I transitioned very smoothly, and I think because I nursed for so long and halfway through my pregnancy, there really wasn't a transition for my nipples to have to go through. I also rub my entire body down with coconut oil after I shower and bath, and so I don't know if that helped. It's just what I do, because I know a lot of people really like coconut oil, so I guess if I've used anything, it's been coconut oil. To address if breastfeeding is easier this time, I feel like I could say so much about this. So if you guys want to know more about nursing and my experience, or if I have any tips or anything like that, because I've been asked a lot of questions, I would totally be fine to share my breastfeeding advice with you, or my tips, or anything like that, or just my experience with you. So if you guys want to hear that, let me know and I'll make a totally different breastfeeding video. But to try and answer this question really short, it's not easier because it was never hard for me. But at the same time, even though breastfeeding has never been hard for me, I've had a lot of, I guess, complications, or I don't really know what to call it, that most people have had and have made, which has made their nursing really hard. I totally just think it's my attitude that I have towards kind of everything in general with that, with like birth and breastfeeding and stuff, and I just kind of power through, and I just overcome the hurdles. So both, I guess breastfeeding is not easier because it's just kind of the same, and it's, I guess, just, it's a habit now because I've been nursing for so long. And before I was very confident in nursing, and it was just, I was going to nurse my baby, and that was it, and I did. And so, it's just kind of, we did have some, I guess, issues, but, again, I think it's totally my attitude, and I could go into more detail with that if I did a nursing video. I just don't want to take up all this time talking about breastfeeding. But, I'll say this, that both my kids have, third-degree upper labial ties, meaning their lip tie, like the string that connects your lip to your teeth, are all the way down at the bottom of their gums, so that will come right, that'll be like, it meets their teeth. And so a lot of people have problems with that nursing, and I think that's why it didn't affect me this time, is because Mackenzie had it as well, and so my nipples are kind of just used to having to nurse a baby like that. I did not even know Mackenzie had an upper labial tie until she was 9 months old, and a friend of mine mentioned that her kid had it, and I just happened to look in Mackenzie's mouth, and I'm like, oh, you have a third-degree upper labial tie, okay. And I think the reason I didn't, it's not that I'm super casual about it, I think it's just my attitude again, where I just overcame the hurdle because that was my mindset, and so I didn't even like try to see if there was an issue, or didn't even think to look for an issue like that. So yeah, breastfeeding is good. I got asked why I wore a bikini top. For me, I don't know, it's not a super modesty thing or anything. I'm an open book when it comes to things like that, because I believe it's all natural and normal, and if you see it, you see it. The reason I wore one is because I really didn't feel, a lot of women say that they, all modesty flies out the window, they don't care who sees what, and they're really just in the moment, super primal. I get that when I'm in labor and in situations like that, but I also, I don't know, my mind kind of stays with me at the same time. I don't really know how to explain that. And so for me, it was just like, I can still, like, between contractions, I can still joke around and, like, talk to people and stuff, so, it was just, like, kind of like, why be totally naked? I didn't really need to be, and so I just popped my swim top on, and it helped with, you know, the video, then I didn't have to show my boobs to the world. I don't know, I just guess if they didn't really need to be out, so why have them out almost, I guess, yeah, so I wore a bikini top. A couple of you wanted to know how was delivering the placenta. It was good, but at the same time it took a little while, because for me, I don't get contractions, I guess I don't get contractions after I give birth. I didn't with Mackenzie, it was the same thing, it took a long time for my placenta to come down, so my midwife was kind of just like hanging out waiting for it, and like, okay, when you feel a contraction, push it out, and I don't know, she must have just been like thinking I was kind of just off too distracted or something, but I did not feel a single contraction after he came out, and I did not feel a single contraction after Mackenzie came out either. My body's just like kind of like, okay, we're done. So birthing the placenta was actually totally fine. They kind of like waited, and then my midwife suggested I just sit up into a squat, and so after the cord was done pulsating, Cody held Grayson, and my midwives and my doula just held me into a squat position, and I kind of just sat in a squat for a few seconds, and my placenta just kind of fell out. So that was it. It was fine. Then the very last question was in part 3, if you've watched that video, somebody wanted to know what was in my shirt. If you've noticed, I had something shoved down my shirt. Again, I have a very heavy milk supply, and I have a very heavy letdown. And so what was in my shirt was actually, oh, Cody moved it, was just one of my burp cloths. I just like have to ball them up and shove them down the side that I'm not nursing on, so that's what you saw was this sticking out. I always have like a receiving blanket or a burp cloth shoved in there because I will soak this entire thing, once it's all folded up or bunched up, I will soak through it in one nursing session, and so I need it to save shirts and the bed and everything. So, yeah. Okay, so that's all the questions I have to answer. I hope you enjoyed them. I hope I answered all the questions well enough for you or gave you a good enough idea. Again, if you want to know more about my breastfeeding experience or how it is or have any questions about that and want me to do a breastfeeding video all on its own, let me know and I will totally do that. So thank you for watching and I will see you later. Camera's still going.
I know, I'll get to it. I should urinate.
I can't do that thing. How do you do that thing?
Boots cats?
No. You know how some people they do that like that noise like they're beatboxing? I don't know. Yeah. I can't. You say boots and cats, right?
Yeah.
What did I hear? I heard somebody else say boots and pants, I think it was.
I don't like that.
Did you say boots cats or boots and cats?
Boots cats. No and.
Oh.
Boots cats, boots cats, boots cats, boots. See? Boots pants, boots pants, boots. Okay, we'll go Tss, 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 tss,